And we are going to get this show on the road as everybody keeps signing in. Well, first and foremost, guys, as always, I just want to thank you guys for making a commitment to yourself, doing what you say you're going to do, showing up for each other. It's not me, it's for yourself and for your community in here, right? And remember, as you look at all these faces signing in, it's just a reminder, connect with these people, build the relationships, whether it's on a virtual one-on-one, whether it's in person, a lunch, a breakfast, you name it. But I just want to let you guys know, and this is, you should be proud of yourselves for being consistent and being committed and starting your day off like this, because we have another incredible speaker that I know will help plant some seeds in your mind, in your spirit today that will definitely carry on for the rest of your lives and help you in your life, help you in your business. But again, like I said at the Harvest Live, you have to be ready to download the information, right? Like, you got to show up to these calls prepared to download information. What is the golden nugget that I'm going to get today that I'm going to implement? Don't physically be here on Zoom, even though I just praise you for being here, but don't mentally be somewhere else, completely unfocused, doing 17 different things. Because that habit will spill off when you're around your kids, when you're in your business, whether you're supposed to be prospecting to get new business, whether you're supposed to be delivering a great customer service experience for a client that can turn into new referrals, which most people don't do, which is why they got to keep chasing business, because they're never present where they're at now. So the better we can get at being present where we're at now, it's going to be amazing in your life how much more results you're going to have, how many more incredible pieces of information that you're going to be able to download. So while you're here, guys, be present. Get your antennas up like that old school TV. If you're not ready for the message, you ain't going to hear it, right? You're going to have people on this call that, it was whatever, I was there. And then you're going to have people on this call like, wow, man, I got to, like, man, that piece of information changed everything for me and how I approach my business. That piece of information changed everything on how I approach life in the morning, changed everything about my outlook on where I'm at in life, where my business is at in life, where my health is at in life, right? So always be ready to download the information. Don't just be unconsciously going through your day. And the sad part is that's 75% of people. They're like zombies just going through their day, right? Just never in the present moment, always thinking, they wonder why they're not getting traction. So remember, be here. We got an incredible speaker. So a little bit of background, guys. This is a friend of mine, Tony Childs, and years and years ago, I bring up, that one time I got uncomfortable to invest in a high-level mastermind, and Tony was a relationship and a person, because I made that scary leap to invest to be in that room. He was a person that I developed and built a relationship with, and I even remember, even in that first time, it was in Yankee Stadium. I had a 10-minute conversation with him, and just from that 10 minutes, we talked about the purpose of living and all these different things. And just from that conversation, I was like, damn, man, that was some wisdom he just spit at me within 10 minutes. Like, that was incredible. And then, as I tell you guys all the time, you make sure you're virtually connected with the people that you're meeting every single day. Virtually, we're keeping up with each other. We're seeing what each other's doing. Next thing you know, I really start understanding and seeing Tony's history with John Maxwell, working side by side with him, being one of the leaders within his organization, learning, being mentored from him. Then, Tony partnered with somebody else who I met there, Scott Duffy, and they're hosting these incredible masterminds all throughout the country. And guys, I'm not just talking about your typical in a conference room. I'm talking about experiences. Newport Beach, Utah, fly fishing. I mean, you name it. And they bring in some of the craziest speakers that you'll have access to meet. And some of those I've been able to, partially build a relationship and get them in front of you guys, so you guys can be exposed to these people. And Tony is definitely one of these elite, just human changers, that we have access to this morning. And he's out of Utah, right? Tony, you're in Utah, right? So he's a little bit behind as far as the time, which is always a tough part for me. But man, it's no coincidence, right? Where the average person, if it's not convenient for them, they'll say no, right? It's so easy for the average person to say no. And some of these speakers, when I try on a limb, I'm like, man, that'd be crazy if they said yes. Some of them are in the West Coast, and they make it happen, dude. It's not convenient for them, but who they are, which got them successful, is it doesn't matter if it's convenient. no, I'm going to do it. And sure enough, that's Tony, man. He's not in the same time zone as us, and he was like, dude, yeah, dude, it's going to be a little bit early. I'm there. I'm there to speak to your community and impact your community. So, Tony, welcome to the morning in the harvest with my close family right here, brothers and sisters of the harvest, business people, entrepreneurs, salespeople, people just doing life that want to level up personally, professionally. And man, I appreciate you being here with us, man. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well. Excited to be here with your family here. So it's going to be hopefully a good few minutes together. So yeah, if you're ready, I'm ready.
No doubt about it, man. So, Tony, there's a lot of things, just a lot of skill sets that you have that you coached and mentored, kind of people with. The cool thing, Reese, congratulations, Reese. I saw you in Times Square getting acknowledged too. That was pretty awesome. Um, but yeah, let's kind of get into. I know you have different programs or different sessions that you like to run people through, man. So what do you want to get in today with the people?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that I do whenever I speak. I don't have a pitch. I don't have a canned speech. So I don't have something memorized for you today.
Yeah.
What I do is I intentionally come on and sense the energy of the group and then move with wherever the energy takes us. So I'm excited to be able to chat with you today and just jumping on here and listening to Devin and Kenny talk about Kenny's dad was really powerful for me. I want you to know that most people tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to death. That's most people. Most people tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to death. They make no impact on this planet. And I want that is not our that's not why we were created. That's not our intention or potential. There's a great country song out there by Mercy Me, a great Christian band country song. It's called Say I Won't. Has anybody heard that song? Give me a hand raise if you've heard that song, Say I Won't. Okay. In that song, very first verse, he says that we're driving 35 with a rocket inside. And I feel like that with most people. We're driving 35 with a rocket inside. We're barely scratching the surface of what we are capable of accomplishing. And most of it's just because we want to just play it safe. Want to play it safe in life. Want to don't have any courage to take any risks. And one of the things that I love about Devin and what he does is that man just has courage to take risks. He'll just jump. He'll see something. He'll be like, "All right, I'm gonna take a risk here. I'm gonna have courage to take this risk." And so a new way of living life that I want you to think about today is, do you tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to death, or are you living life all out? Are you living life so much that you laugh so hard that you spray milk out your nose? Are you living so well that you cry so hard that you got wrinkles next to your eyes? Are you living so hard that you got scrapes and bruises that one day when you fly into that casket and you slide in there, you're saying, "What a ride. What a ride." How are you living your life? I just want you to contemplate that this morning because life is fragile, life is precious. And most people, they live life driving 35 as safe as they can when they have a rocket inside with no speed limit. You got a rocket inside with no speed limit, and we're playing it safe. And so my hope today is that you'll make a commitment to yourself. I'm gonna have some courage to take some risks. I'm gonna have some courage to do some things. You see, most people they're programmed with their life. They're literally programmed with what's going to happen in their life. So I have the privilege now. We all have dreams when we're little kids and little boys, little girls. Like type in the comment section, type in the chat box. Like, what are some of the dreams you had when you were a little boy or little girl? I'm just curious. Type in there. What were some of the dreams you had? Whether it was like, hey, I want to be in the NFL, Devin, that's awesome. What were some of the dreams that you held? A chef, pro hockey. I love it. We just got a hockey team here in Utah. Super pumped for that. My little boy plays hockey, so that's going to be awesome. What other? Is that it? Just
People are
three,
slowly
three
but
dreams.
surely finding out about the best kept secret, Utah, man. It's like on the world's radar now, man. Everything's flying over there.
It is. It's awesome, man. And man, the owner, he's buying everything up. So it's fun to watch. He's buying every team we can. So singer, travel the world on a regular basis, performer, a stunt woman. This is awesome. This is great.
Look at
Stay
Kathy
at
and
home
Soko.
dad. I
I
love
love
it, man. So I just want you to think, you know, we have all of these dreams when we're little kids, and then we're told things, and we're told to be realistic, and we're told that, you got to be able to do something that'll make money. And are you going to be able to make money at that? And do you realize, Devin, that to make it to the NFL, it's the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%? Do you realize that? Like we get all these people that then just take this genius that's inside of us as kids and squash it. Just squash it. It was Buckminster Fuller that said that all children are born geniuses. 9,999 out of every 10,000 are swiftly, inadvertently degeniusized by adults. So I just want you to think like, man, what's the genius that's locked inside of me? Have I allowed adults in my childhood to squash that genius? And for most, the answer is yes. For most, the answer is, we were taught that you go to school to get a high school diploma so that you can go to college, so you can figure out what the hell you're going to do with your life. And then you take that and you go and you get a job, which then turns into a career. And you go into that career and you do that. You work on, Monday through Friday to get the weekends off, to be able to work till 5 o'clock. And then you get your vacation days, and you do that year after year, decade after decade, till you retire one day. And then you go, spend your retirement, whatever, until you die. Is that life? Is that truly living? Because we got all these dreams, and what happened to all those dreams? So for me, I did have dreams. I had major dreams when I was a little kid, huge dreams. And my dreams were to play athletics. I wanted to play professional athletics. I love athletics. So first it was football, until I realized I am way too skinny to play football. I got creamed when I was in high school. So then I switched to basketball. And then I realized that I couldn't jump very much. So I switched to golf, and I actually got a scholarship to play college golf, and could have gone on in that career, but decided, you know what, I got to be practical. So I went into banking, and that's what I ended up doing for 15 years. I was in banking, and I kind of worked my way up the ladder in banking. I started as a teller, and then moved to a banker, and then a manager, and then a leader, and by the time I was 35, I was an executive in the bank. I was 40 under 40. So that meant that I was one of the top 40 bankers under 40 years old in the state of Utah, and the next executive that was going to be in the bank. And when I looked at my life one day, and by raise of hands, or type in me in the comment section, have any of you felt, as you're going about life, that you got like that pressure in your chest? Is that pressure in your chest that says you're created for more? You're created for more. You don't know what it is. Like, has that happened to any of you? Where you just like, that like, I am created for more, but you don't know what more is. So you just keep doing what you're doing because it's like, oh, I don't know what that means. I'm created for more. Of course I'm created for more, but how do I figure it out? How do I do this? And so you just squash it every day. Every day you wake up, it's like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're created for more. It's like, no, duh. And you squash it down. And you keep doing what you've been doing your whole life. And so that was me for 15 years. Every day I'd wake up, I'd go to the bank, I'd feel like, Tony, you're created for more, and I'd squash it. It's like, yeah, but I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great in the bank. I'm doing what I'm meant to do. And I wasn't meant to be a banker. How do I know I wasn't meant to be a banker? Because every day at 5 o'clock, I'd stop thinking about banking. This is a huge nugget, guys. Every day at 5 o'clock, I'd stop thinking about banking. When you're living your calling in life, it will obsess you. You'll never stop thinking about it. It'll wake you up. It'll wake you up at 3 in the morning. It'll wake you up at 5 in the morning. It'll cause you to get on calls at 5 in the morning. Why? Because it's your calling. Why did I say yes to Devin? And by the way, it was yesterday. Yesterday, Devin called me and he's like, hey, dude, can you get on a call tomorrow? My answer was, sure. I got nothing going at 5 in the morning, guys, except for my studies. But my point is like, I would have never done this in the bank, because that calling will call you. It'll call you forth. So I just want you to think in your life, just briefly, am I living my calling? Have I found it? Am I truly living into why I was here, why I was born? One of my favorite shows on this planet, one of my favorite shows that I absolutely love watching is America's Got Talent. Any America's Got Talent fans in the room? Anybody watch America's Got Talent? I love America's Got Talent. I love Britain's Got Talent. I love American Idol. I love all those shows. And the reason why is because it inspires the hell out of me. You watch people that take massive risks to get on that stage and do what they were born to do. They take massive risks to get on that stage and do what they were born to do. And so I just want you to think, am I taking those risks? Am I doing what I was born to do? For me, I thought it was being a professional athlete. Now those days have come and gone. I'm not doing professional athletics. However, when I started getting into this stage of my life, where I left banking and I started getting into executive coaching and speaking and training across the world, and so now I do trainings all over the place, I have the privilege now of coaching NFL athletes, Olympians, founders of companies, actors and actresses. I coach all of them. And it's a blast. So fun. It's so fun to help a professional athlete, an NFL Hall of Famer. I just had one sign up a few months ago. It was December. He just retired a year and a half ago, and his life is floundering. He was floundering, and he was the best at his position. Very best. Number one offensive lineman when he retired. Number one. He's going to go first ballot Hall of Famer. And yet he was squandering his life. Squandering his life. And I get on the phone with him and we chat and we talk about his potential. You see, most people, they believe that their potential is locked up in what they do every day. And because he wasn't doing NFL anymore, he didn't feel like his life was worth it. Because he wasn't doing the things that he had done for 15 years, day in and day out. So we dove into his dreams that he had when he was a little kid. And it wasn't all just NFL. That was a big dream of his. But there was another dream he had. And that dream was like, I wonder if I could write. He was a phenomenal writer. And so right now, 4 months later, 5 months later, he's in the process of writing his first book. Where 5 months ago, that was impossible to him. No way. There's no way I could write a book. We're almost done with it. I just want you to think about, like, what is it that you're creating? You are a creator. And most people are driving 35 with this rocket inside. And so here's what I want you to do this morning. I want you to think about, what's the impossible of my life? What's the thing that if you put in my brain, it'd be like, dude, that's impossible. And so I want to do this regarding income. Because most people, they have a number in their head about what they want to make in their career or what they want to make over this next year. They have that number in here. They don't dare say it out loud, but they feel it. They know it. So I want you to just think in 2023, what was the number that you made? Like, just think it in your head. Like, you don't need to put it on the chat box, but just think in your head, what did I make in 2023? What was the number? You did your taxes back in April. You did your taxes, a couple months ago. They were due. What was that bottom line? What was that gross income? What was that household income? And if you write off a bunch of things because you're a good business owner, what was the income that you took into your household? Or what was the sales that you made in your real estate business? Like, what did you do? So I want you to think about that number. Now, here's what I want you to do with that number. I want you to add a zero to it, to the end of it, not the beginning of it. Take a zero, add a zero to the end of that number. And I want you to imagine you're going to make that number in 2024. You're going to make that number in 2024. Imagine it. Just put it out there. Like, all right, I'm going to make that number. So if you made $100,000, what I'm saying is you're going to make $1 million in 2024. If you made $250,000, I'm saying you're going to make $2.5 million in 2024. Now, what goes through your head as I say that? This is what we're going to do. We're going to make that number in 2024. So what goes through your head? Put in the comment section, put in the chat box. Like, what's going through your head as I say, hey, we're going to do that number this year. We're going to make that happen. What's the thought patterns that go through your head as I say, hey, we're going to make that your. So Jim, it's how? That is such a good question. How? Because if you knew how to do it, guess what? You'd be doing it. You'd be doing it. And so, Devin, there's some doubt. There might be some doubt of like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could make that happen. How am I going to 10 times my income in 1 year? How am I going to do that? And here's what I know. When we don't know how to do something, we link it with another statement. So I want you to think about this. When you don't know how to do something, The statement that then comes right after is, I don't know how, therefore what? I put in the comment section. I don't know how, therefore I what? I don't know how, therefore what? I can't. And I want you to know that that word will shut you down. It'll shut you down completely. When you believe that you can't, you won't. Now, do all of you have the ability to 10 times your income right now? Do you have the ability, not the know-how? I'm not talking about the know-how. I'm talking about the ability. Do you all have the ability to 10 times your income right now? Either nod your head this or nod your head this. Do you all have the ability to make your income 10 times more than it is right now? What do y'all think? Yes or no? Okay. I'm not seeing a lot of head nods, but we're still early. We're still early in the day. So yes, you do have the ability to do it. Problem is you just are unaware. I don't know how. But if you know you can, then you'll start to ask yourself a different question. How can I? How could I 10 times my income this year? How could I do it? And then you'll start to figure it out. People don't make 100 grand a year because they want to make 100 grand a year. People make 100 grand a year because they're completely oblivious how to do it every month. Let me repeat that. People don't make 100 grand a year because they love making 100 grand a year. People make 100 grand a year because they're unaware of how to do it every month. They're
So true. In
unaware.
real estate, Tony, it's like typically when you ask somebody, all right, what's your first income goal? Immediately 100 grand. Like people just think of that. Like for the year, 100 grand a year. It's like that's where their mind goes to.
Yeah. And then the second number, if you were to walk on the street and say, hey, how much would you want to make in a year? Second number is, I want to be a millionaire. I'd like to make a million. So I just want you to think about, like, you don't make 100 grand because you want to make 100 grand. You make 100 grand because you don't know how to do it every month. You don't work 80 hours a week because you love working 80 hours a week. You work 80 hours a week because you don't know how to work 10 and make 10 times more. So you work 80 hours. You don't take a vacation once a year because you love taking a vacation once a year. You take a vacation once a year because you don't know how to take a vacation every weekend. Are you guys getting this? Give me a thumbs up if it's like, okay, this is making sense. Like, I don't know how to do it. So I don't do it. If you knew how to do it, you'd be doing it. And so here's some income statistics that I want you to just take and relish on these just for a second here, because we're gonna go through these income statistics, and then I'm gonna share with you kind of changing your game. You got to change your game up a little bit. Okay. So the income, if you go to the 2020 Census Bureau. So in the 2020 Census Bureau, I can go to that Census Bureau and I can figure out a bunch of different things about America. I can go into the 2020 Census Bureau and I can figure out what the households' incomes are. I can figure out how many kids are in households. I can figure out, what the average age is. I can figure out what their education levels are. I can figure out what their races and religions are. There's a lot of data that you can figure out in the Census Bureau. It's done every 10 years. It's the surveys that go all across America. They go house to house and they figure out, like, what are these things? And so if you go to this 2020 Census Bureau, you can go backwards. You can go to the 2010 Census Bureau, and then the 2000 Census Bureau, and the 1990 Census Bureau. So what I've done is I've done income studies from 1990 all the way up to 2020, just through the Census Bureau. And what I've done is I figured out, all right, so tell me, let's talk about, like, what's the average household income? And so if you make, according to 2020, it goes up every single year because inflation goes up and people's income ability goes up just a tiny bit, not a lot, but it does go up. What if you make 100 grand a year in the United States of America? What bracket does that put you into? Top what percent of income earners? Household, by the way, household, you and your spouse. You take your household income and you make 100 grand a year. What does that put you into as far as the top what percentage of income earners? What do you think? Put in the comment section. Top 5% of income earners, Mark. Okay. Top 10%. Fantastic. Any other broke? Okay. Awesome. What does that put you into, the top 10% of income earners in the United States of America? So, Devin, you're probably the closest for my people that guessed here. It's 9%. 9%. That means that 91% of America makes less than 100 grand a year. And this was as of 2020. That means 91% of America makes less than 100 grand a year. So of those that made it, so let's say 100,000 people made it to 100,000. We know that it's in the millions, but I just want to use that number because it's a nice round, even number. Let's say 100,000 people made it to the $100,000 mark. Of those that made it, which is 9%, 100,000 people, what percentage of the 100,000 will make it to $500,000 this year? So what percentage of those that made it to the 100,000 will make it to the $500,000? 1% of the 100,000. So you're saying 1,000 people out of the 100,000 will make it to $500,000. That means 99% of those will stay. Half of 1%, Mark Serge. Okay. It's actually 10%. 10% of those that make it to 100,000 will make it to $500,000. So of those 100,000 people, 90,000 of them will stay. And now I've done this now going back to 2010, 2020, or 2000, 1990. Here it's the same. It's the numbers change just slightly, but here's what I found. 91% of America stays below $100,000 every year. 90% of those that make it to $100,000 stay at 100,000. They don't even move. They just stay right at 100,000. Only 10% of those that make it to 100,000 make it to $500,000. That number we'll say is 10,000 people. So here's my question. And this is the question I've asked myself. Why? We all have the ability to do more. Why do we stay stuck? Why do I stay at 9? Why do I stay at 5 figures when I can get to 6 figures? Why do I stay at 100,000 when I can get to $500,000? Why? You want to know one of the major, and if you get this in your brain, it will stifle you and you will stay stuck. Here it is. I'm better than most. That statement right there will keep you stuck in life. Your comparison to everybody else and then thinking, I'm better than most. I'm doing pretty good for myself. I'm doing pretty good for my family. I'm better than most my neighbors. I'm better than most my real estate agents. I'm better than most. So I'm going to stay right here because I'm number one in my sphere of influence. So I'm doing pretty good. And we don't tap into what we have potential to tap into because of the idea that I'm better than most. And so I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to switch gears here just for a second because I had a profound experience. As I mentioned, I was a golfer in high school and could have played golf in college. I went on a Christian mission instead, but I could have played golf. And so, how many golfers are in the house here? Raise your hand if you golf. Okay, so we've got a few golfers. How many of you putt golf before? You've gone to the putt golf and you've done the miniature golf. Okay, so we've got some putt golfers in here as well. So the point of golf is very simple. Get the ball from the starting point to the hole in as few hits as possible. That is the purpose of golf. Okay. I've got a starting point on every hole, and I want to get the ball from the starting point to the hole and in the hole in as few hits as possible. Every hit is called a stroke. Okay. So that's in essence the point of golf. And golfers will spend hours and hours and hours on the big boy golf course, which is like they go to the 18-hole golf course and they spend hours and hours and hours to get better. And the way you get better is by hitting fewer shots, not more shots, fewer shots. Okay. That's how you get better. So people will go to the golf course and they'll golf 18 holes, and the whole point is to get better. Now, how do I get better? I got to have a scoring system with which I get better. So on average, it should take you 4 shots per hole on average. So there's some that are 3s, some that are 5s, but on average, it's 4 per hole, and there's 18 holes in a golf course. So if you take 18 times 4, it means that on average, you should be shooting 72. That's the average of a golf course. That's the average that you should be shooting. If you're one of the very best golfers in the world and you shoot 72 every time you go out, you have a handicap. So in golf, you have a handicap, and the handicap is on average above 72. How many strokes do I shoot on average? That's your handicap. So if I shoot on average 82 every time I go out to golf, what would my handicap be for my mathematicians out there? What would my handicap be if I shoot on average? Okay, 10. You guys got it? That's my handicap. It's 82 minus 72. My handicap is I shoot 10 above what I should be shooting if I'm a really good golfer. Now, if I shoot 92, my handicap is 20. Give me a thumbs up if you guys realize how I'm getting to my handicap. You guys understanding this, how I'm getting to my handicap? That's the layman's terms for a handicap. There's a lot that goes into it with slope and hardness of the course and all that jazz. But on it means on average, how many above par do I shoot? Now, the whole point of golf is to get that handicap lower and lower and lower. I want to move it from a 20 to a 10, and I want to move it from a 10 to a 5, and I want to move it from a 5 to a 3. That means on average, I'm shooting 75. I want to move it from a 3 to a 1. That means on average, I'm shooting 73. I want to get it from a 71 or 73 to a 72. That means I'm shooting par and I'm a 0 handicap. Okay, so I just want you guys getting golf and handicap and how handicap works. If you shoot a 6 handicap, here's the statistics. It means on average, you are a top 10% of golfers in the world. You are one of the top 10% of golfers worldwide when you get your handicap to a 6. Isn't that crazy? So when I'm shooting 78, it means that I am better than 90% of the golfers out on the planet. I'm better than 90% when I get to a 78. That's consistently what I'm shooting. Now, those that get to a 78, how many of them play golf every day? Just think about this. Of those that get to a 7, they get to a 6 handicap, they were shooting 78. On average, how often are they golfing? They're golfing on the weekends. They're golfing in the evenings. They're going to the driving range. They're going to the putting greens. They're doing all that they can to reduce their handicap, to get better. They're doing all that they can to get better. Now here's the craziest statistic. Of those that make it to a 6, what percentage of them make it to a 0 in their lifetime? In their lifetime. The answer to that is 10% of them. 90% of those golfers that make it to a 6 will never make it to a 0 in their lifetime. And they will go to the golf course every day. And they will go to the driving range. And they will do all that they can. They'll golf 15 times a month. And they never get to a 0. And my question is, why? Why don't they get to a 0? So I was at a gala for a bunch of professional athletes, most of them golfers, sitting at a gala. It was a few years back, and I look over and I see the top golf instructor in the world to my right. He's the top golf instructor. He's done swing adjustment with Tiger Woods, and he's worked with Phil Mickelson. He's worked with Bubba Watson. I mean, so I'm looking at him and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ask him a question right now. So I get up out of my chair and I walk over to him. And I said, all right, I introduced myself that I coach professional athletes when they leave their careers. And he's like, oh man, I got some people that need you. And I was like, awesome, let's chat with them. I said, but I have a question for you. Why is it that golfers, when they get to a 6 handicap, don't get to a 0? He's like, that's a fascinating question. So he sat there for a second. He's like, you know what? I think I have the answer. No, I have the answer. I was like, okay, I'm all ears. Now you're going to want to write this down, because his answer he gave me pertains to life. It pertains to life. He said this. He said the golfer that gets to a 6 doesn't realize that the swing that got him to a 6 will not be the swing that gets him to a 0. And he's unwilling to sacrifice his swing. The swing that gets you to a 6 will not be the same swing that gets you to a 0. And these golfers are unwilling to sacrifice their swing. Why? Because of their mentality that they're better than most. Why would I sacrifice my swing? I'm better than most of the golfers out here. Why would I do this? And so they don't do it. And they stay average. They stay mediocre for the rest of their lives. Instead of saying, you know what, to hell with everybody else. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I want to be my very best, not the best. I want to be my best. There's a huge difference there in your life when you start living life with this idea that I don't want to be the best. I want to be my best. And my best is always going to be better than anybody and anything around me, because I demand of myself my best. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to sacrifice what I need to sacrifice so that I can get to the points that I want to go to. So I took this to golf, or to income. Why is it that people stay at 100,000 and don't get to a 500,000? Because the swing that got you to 100,000 will not be the swing that gets you to a 500,000. The swing that got you to 100,000 will not be the swing that gets you to a 500,000. Now, of those that made it to a 500,000, we said that that was 10% of the 100,000. So we got 10,000 people that made it to a 500,000. What percentage of those 10,000 make it to a million? Put in the comment section, what percentage of those 10,000 make it to a million in the year? Devin, 10. He's like, he just keeps saying 10. So I think this is a good thing that I can go down. 10%, Linda, 5%. Okay. You guys ready for this? 80%. 8,000 out of the 10,000 people that made it to a 500,000 will make it to a million. Here's what I know. The swing change that they made at 100,000 will get them over a million. But you got to make a swing change. So in my last couple of minutes together with you, can I share with you the beginning of your swing change? Is that okay? If I share with you, like, what is it that I need to be changing in my life so that I can break past this $100,000 barrier, or maybe $250,000 barrier, and get up to the 500,000, million plus? Is that all right if I share with you a couple of thoughts in my closing today? Okay. How we doing, by the way? How we doing in our 30 minutes together? We doing okay? Perfect. All right. Let's, I'm going to share my screen here. Devin, will you, I think, yep, I can share my screen. So let me share my screen with you here. Hopefully you'll be able to see my iPad here in a second. There we go. Y'all can see my iPad now. Give me a thumbs up. Devin, you can see my iPad? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to share with you a lesson that if you can grasp this, it will change your life. This is Psychology 101. And Psychology 101 says this, that what I think causes how I feel. And how I feel causes an energy in my body with which I act. And it's the energy or attitude with which you act that is producing your results. If you can get this, your whole life will change. What I think causes how I feel, and how I feel causes an energy with which I act. Now, how do I think? That's the next question. What is it? How do I think in life? So I'm going to move this over here just for a second. I'm going to open up my chat box. So I got my chat box here because I want you to be able to play along with me here now. Are there uncertainties on this planet? Yes or no? Do you guys deal with some uncertainties? What are some of the uncertainties that people are dealing with every day? People are grappling with, whether they're single moms, whether they're, entrepreneurs, whether they're business owners. Like, what are some of the uncertainties that people are dealing with on a daily basis? Put it in the comment section. Put it in the chat box. What are some of the uncertainties that people deal with? Income. Yeah. Politics. Inflation. Rates. Health. Marriage. Children. Parenting, kids, support, mental health, uncertainties with people with people's deals that they're working on. There's tons of uncertainties, guys. Tons. You can't escape them. You live in a planet that has uncertainties. So I'm going to write this on Word up here that you have uncertainties up here and you can't get rid of them. So here's I'm going to put 5 little antennae on top of my little guy here. And those 5 antennae are your 5 senses. It's what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And there's a lot that you're seeing. There's a lot that you're hearing. There's a lot that you're sensing on this planet. And it's based a lot in uncertainties that people are seeing. And so there's one of 2 ways you can look at the uncertainties. So it's not what you think, it's how you think. Let me repeat that. Life is about how you think, not what you think. Because what you think will determine how you feel, and how you feel will determine the energy with which you act. So what determines what I think? It's how I think. It's the lens with which I'm seeing the world. And there's one of 2. There's one of 2 lenses that you're seeing this world with. There's one of 2 lenses that you're looking at uncertainty with. And it was Albert Einstein that said that the greatest decision you'll ever make in your lifetime is whether you believe you live in a hostile or a friendly universe. The greatest decision you'll ever make in your lifetime is whether you believe you live in a hostile or friendly universe. Now, the person that lives in a hostile universe and they see the uncertainties that are going on around them, they see the uncertainties in their rate systems, they see the uncertainties in politics, they see the uncertainties, and they believe that they live in a hostile universe. What's the thought pattern they have when they see and sense uncertainty in their life? Put in the comment section, put in the chat box. What's the thought pattern that those that look through life through a hostile lens and they see uncertainty in their life, what thought does it create inside of them? Negative, survival. Okay. The thought is doubt. And it turns inward first and then outward. So what I mean by inward is it turns inward to self-doubt and then outward to doubting everything else, to doubting whether the people are out there can help me, to doubting whether the politics can really change things around, the doubt to where things can really happen. And what happens is when I start to self-doubt and I start to self-doubt everything else, I use my beautiful gift of my imagination to look at WCS, worst case scenarios. So I see the uncertainties. I'm sensing the uncertainties. I sense that I start to doubt my abilities to overcome these uncertainties. And so now I start to envision in my head all the worst possible things that can happen. And when you're envisioning the worst possible things that can happen, the feeling that gets created in your life is worry and fear. Worry. There's 2 R's there. Trust me. Actually, let me there we go. I'll erase this so that you guys have a good, there we go. Worry and fear. How many of you have had worry warts in your life? You have people that just worry over everything. That something happens and they just worry over it, and they worry over it, and they worry over it. And they wonder how they're going to get through it and how are things going to happen. And they're constantly in the future, and they're constantly afraid of this uncertainties in their life. Okay? So that worry and fear then causes an energy in your body, and the energy that it creates is anxiety. It creates anxiety in life. Now, when people are anxious, they don't go around expressing their anxiety, they suppress it. And the suppression of anxiety turns into depression, disease, and decay. Life starts slowing mega down. Their body is diseased, not at ease, and then everything starts falling apart. So here's my question. What percentage of the population wakes up or frequently visits this side every day? This is according to Gallup. Gallup's the #1 data conglomerate on the planet. I've done a lot of studies with Gallup. I've done some corollary studies with Gallup, and I've found that there's a percentage of the population that wakes up and visits this side every single day, most of the day. What percentage of the population, in your opinions, what percent of the population wakes up or frequently visits this side every day? Okay. 85%. 85% are wondering how this universe is here to hurt them. What's going to happen in their life that will hurt them today? Only 15% are waking up on all right, well, how's life going to help me today? They're looking at the same uncertainties. They're seeing the same things in their life that you don't escape it. They have the same uncertainties with the rates. They have the same uncertainties with politics. They have the same uncertainties in their marriage. They have the same uncertainties. But what they've done is they've trained their brain to look at that they live in a friendly universe. That's how they see the uncertainty. And when they see the uncertainty that way, they have confidence instead of doubt. And the confidence turns inward first and then outward second. So they have this inward confidence that says, I can overcome this. I can do this. I got this. It's self-confidence first, and then it's confidence in everything else. It's confidence that the rates are fine. My business is great. Everything's moving awesome in a good forward trajectory. And what they've done is they've trained their brain for BCS, best case scenario. See, your brain, it is wired to show you the worst case scenario because it wants to protect you. And so you've got to train it to go on best case scenario. All right, that was the worst thing that can happen. What's the best thing that can happen? So you start to imagine the best case scenarios. And when I'm looking at the best case scenarios, instead of worry and fear, what I feel is love. And I'm telling you right now, love casteth out all fear. You can't have love and fear in the same heart at the same time. It's impossible. Now, I know that several of you have been in love in your lifetime before, and the energy that gets created when you're in love is one of excitement. You're excited when you're in love. That's the energy of excitement. And when you're excited, you don't go around suppressing your excitement. You express your excitement. And the expression of excitement turns into momentum, wellness, and growth. The 3 most important words to any business owner, any entrepreneur, any salesperson. Am I catching the wave of momentum? Am I well and whole? And am I growing? You see, you're either growing or you're decaying, but you're never standing still. You're either getting better or worse, but you're never sitting still. It goes against these laws of the universe with which we live in. You are not standing still. And when you can get this through your mind, it will change your whole life, that you're determining, am I driving 35 or am I driving with a rocket inside? If you take your foot off the pedal, you'll realize that you'll go backwards. You will go down. And you think that I'm standing still, but no, your foot's been sitting there and you're going the same speed because your foot's there. But you're either moving forward or backward. You're never standing still. And the sad thing is that only 15% of the population is waking up and living life on that side. And so this is the shift change. What I call this is the shift. This is the shift that has to happen in your life from left to right. This is the swing change. If you are on the left side, you will stay at less than $100,000. Period. End of story. This is the swing change, that those that make it to the right side, those that consistently live on the right side, this is the first change that they have to make. And when they realize that they're on the right side, they'll see a whole different world. You're going to see a whole different world. So here's some signs that you're on the left side. Let me share with you some signs you're on the left side. Sign number one, you're on the left side, is comparison. When you're comparing yourself against anyone or anything, you're on the left side. If you're thinking, man, I am better than most, you're on the left side. If you're thinking, man, I am the worst, I'm looking at everything, you're on the left side. When you're thinking that, man, I wish I could be, you're on the left side. Well, I wish I could be like Bob Proctor. Man, I wish I could be like him. He's so good. Man, I wish I could be like John Maxwell or Tony Robbins. They're just so good. I'm just not as good as they are. I'm on the left side if I think that. Because what that does is when I compare, if you're better than someone, you will always be less than someone. Let me repeat that. When you are better than someone, you will always be less than someone. And when you're less than someone, you will always have a thought pattern of not enough. And if you have a thought pattern of not enough, then you will see a world of not enough. If your thought pattern is when you look in the mirror, and I want you to just imagine when you look in the mirror, do you pick apart that person or do you love that person? Man, I'm not smart enough. I'm not courageous enough. I'm not brave enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not a good enough salesperson. I'm just not enough. If you have that dialogue when you're looking in the mirror, then magically you'll see a whole world of not enough. There's not enough time. I'm like a chicken with its head cut off. I don't have enough time. If I had more hours in the day, I'd be able to get done more, but I just don't have enough time. Man, I don't have enough love in my life. I'm not lovable. I don't have enough money in my bank account. If I had more money, we'd be able to afford all the things that we want to, but we don't have enough money. We can't afford that. I don't have enough money. We don't have enough resources. Man, if we had more resources, we'd be able to kill it. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough leads. There's not enough people that are buying homes. I don't have enough leads in my life right now. You will literally see life through a lens of not enough when you see yourself through a lens of not enough. But when you experience the shift, when you go from the left to the right, you'll know you're on the right side when you have a strong self-image. You'll know you're on that right side when you have a strong self-image, when you just, I know who I am. I don't need to compare myself to anybody else. I just need to be the best version of me today. That's it. The world does not need another Tony Robbins. The world does not need another John Maxwell. The world needs the very best version of Tony Child. And I'm telling you right now that the world needs the very best version of Kenny Herb and Martino and Devin and Linda and others. The world needs the very best version of you. And when you have this strong self-image, you know who you are, then magically you'll see life through a lens of always enough. That's how you'll see yourself. You'll look in the mirror and you're like, you know what? I know I can get better, but right now I'm enough. I know I can get better, but I'm not getting better for anybody else, any other reason other than I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be my best, not the best. And when I started to live life this way, that I just want to be my best, I look in the mirror and you know what? I'm always enough. And when I see that I look in the mirror and I'm always enough, I'll magically see the world that way. I'll see the world that, man, there's always enough time. There's always enough money. There's always enough resources. There's always enough. Now, if you've guessed it here, the shift that has to happen is the shift from lack to abundance. That's it. This is the shift that has to be made. And by the way, everyone has to make this shift. The professional athletes that I work for, 78% of them statistically are going to be bankrupt within 3 years. Why? Because they see themselves in a hostile universe. That's why. So even my professional athletes, the very first work I do with them is I help them shift. Let's get you to feeling where you're in a friendly universe, an abundant universe where there's always enough and you're always enough, because they have been comparing themselves for their whole lives. They are trying to be the best, and they've never even considered what's my best. However, if you look at the very elite of the elite, the very best of the best, so I'm talking about the best of the NFL athletes, the best of the Olympians, the best of the NBA athletes, they are trying to be their best. One of my favorite ones is this guy right here, Kobe Bryant, Mamba Mentality. I read this whole book. It's absolutely incredible. That guy, he wants to be his best. And how do I know that? Because while he was playing in the NBA, winning NBA championships, he won a freaking Oscar that most people will spend their whole lives in the acting industry trying to make. So here's my last thing that I'll just share with you. You're enough. Wherever you are, whoever you are, you're enough. And when you believe that you're enough, you'll be able to shift and make those millions that you want to make. If you don't believe you're enough, you'll stay stuck the rest of your life. So thank you for allowing me to come in, Devin. I'll answer any comments, any questions. I know I left 5 minutes here for you. Devin, I'm going to turn it back to you, my friend.
Incredible, man. This was absolutely incredible. I wanted to elaborate real quick on what he was just saying about, just focusing on becoming your best. And a case in point, I don't know if anybody saw the Patrick Bet-David interview with Tom Brady. It's literally exactly what he said. He's like, Patrick was trying to break him. He's like, you're telling me you weren't paying attention at this point? You weren't trying to beat Joe Montana? He said, no. He said, every day I try to just get better personally, like give it my all personally. I focus on me, showing up as my best, doing my best, continuing to try and elevate and control, raising the bar for myself every single day. Himself, his best. Himself, his best. And the reason why what Tony said is so important, my best, not the best, is because when you start comparing yourself to others, you will not show up as the best version of yourself with the best action that day. You will be in scarcity. You will have limiting beliefs, negative self-talk. Your frequency won't be as high. That is directly tied to that. And, I asked Dave Meltzer that same question too about like when they say comparison is the thief of joy. He said, I don't want you to think comparison. I want you to think collaboration. That has everything to do with what Tony said about that's a friendly environment. A friendly environment is, hey, I'm not going to be like, why is that person, comparing myself to why that person's killing it in their business. A friendly environment is like, man, let's get together. Let's figure out what you're doing that works for you. Let's figure out how I can help you, right? That's a friendly environment. That's an environment of abundance, and that's where things happen that on that left side will never, ever, ever, ever happen, man. This is great, great stuff, man. Let's hit a few questions. Heather, I see you got your hand raised.
Good morning. I had a question. I definitely need to shift my thought process with understanding that customers might not be able to afford our services with the inflation, the cost of parts, etc. And we're usually dealing with households that are in that less than $100,000 bracket. How do I shift my focus on, I feel bad for these customers and I understand the spot they're in, to shifting that over to the other side of the equation?
That's a great question. So first of all, the only person we can control is us. I can't control anybody else. I can't control my clients. I can't control the marketplace. I can't control I can control me. And when I control me, when I can shift my lens from hostile to friendly, it's amazing how people will automatically change. Your customers change, your customer base will change, the people that you bring into your business will change, your employees will change. Everything starts changing when you start changing, when you start saying, "Oh, right, I'm gonna be intentional about my movement over from the left to the right side." You see, we attract in life who we are, not what we want. We attract in life who we are. And so when we're abundant, when we're looking at life through a lens of always enough, it's magical how we'll start to see clients that way and we'll start to see people that way. There will always be people on this planet, no matter what, that are on the left side and they believe they cannot change. And so I can talk till I'm blue in the face at them. I can share over and over and over again how they need to start thinking differently and they need to start acting differently. But those that are stuck on the left side and want to stay there, they cannot hear it. They literally can't. And so, I would focus on, okay, so how do I find the client base that is out there that will afford my services, that does look at life through an abundant universe? How do I find those people? Because they're walking everywhere. They're everywhere. And as Devin mentioned, I run masterminds all over the place. But my masterminds they're not cheap. You can go to other masterminds and you pay like $500 and you're sitting in the room with 600 other people and you feel like awesome, amazing. No, my masterminds are 5,000 to 25,000 a year. 5,000 for an event, 25, 30,000 to jump in as a member. And I do that on purpose. I'm excluding all of those people that look at life through a lens of I'm not enough. Now, I want to help them. So this is why I do this. This is why I jump out. This is why I jump on podcasts and webinars and I try to help the public this way. But those that want to help themselves, they need to actually jump and say, okay, I need some help. I want to do this. So how do you do this? Heather, what I would say is first and foremost, how am I seeing life? How am I doing? That'd be the first question I ask myself is, am I looking at life through the left side or right side? How are things going with me? Once you've done that, then it's like, well, how can I find my tribe? How can I find the people that can afford what it is that I have to offer? Because they're everywhere. I share this kind of tongue in cheek, but Nordstrom doesn't give a rip what Walmart's doing. Just saying that right now. Nordstrom does not give a rip what Walmart's doing. Walmart is going to attract their clients while Nordstrom attracts theirs. And they make millions and millions of dollars. They don't make the billions like Walmart does, but they make their millions and millions and millions and millions serving the clients that find them. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
It absolutely did. I need to look at myself first. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Incredible, guys. All right, we are up at 8 o'clock, a jam-packed hour of value, of inspiration, of tools that you can now go take into your life. And as always, guys, I challenge you, do the work off this call. Like, really unpack this. I took, and I'll post it in our community, that picture of left side, right side. Share in the community. What were some of the nuggets that you got from this call? Like, share, contribute to the community. Let people know what some of your takeaways were. Share on your platforms, right? Share the call on your platform. Share video, post on some of the things that you learned from this call. Put it out there. Contribute to the universe. Be abundant with this knowledge, right? Be abundant with the things that you're a part of. And watch how everything changes in your life. Tony, thank you so much. Tony put his Instagram handle in there. I shared it, and I will share it again in the community so you guys can follow Tony to continue to get his wisdom through his social media platforms. Thank you guys all so much for showing up for yourselves, your family, and your future self today. Tony, as always, man, grateful for you, appreciate you, and thank you for impacting my community. Have an amazing, amazing day and an amazing week. Thank you guys. Let's kick butt. See you soon.